how are you doing? Got a bit of a different one this week. I got an interview with Sally Baker, who is a weight loss specialist and therapist. She leads on perfectly from a recent video I did when I said about taking positive action today. Don't wait until tomorrow. Well, Sally Baker has a whole host of ways to help with this, not just bariatric surgery. It's fascinating. Now, before we get into it, if you're new to my channel and you're interested in finding out more about my journey and where I'm coming from, I've lost over 18 stone, please hit that subscribe button, hit that alarm bell to be kept informed of everything as I put out. Hopefully, if YouTube haven't broken it again. Just to give you some background, I'm keen for everyone to be able to... I was very miserable for a long time, 30 years, being morbidly obese, and I found it very difficult for me to finally choose the path that got me to get the weight off. And for me, it was bariatric surgery, and I tried everything. But one thing that I found I never really had was a template, a support structure. It was all very scattered and very fragmented. And what Sally aims to do is provide structure, find out why you're overweight. Is it a self-destruction thing? Is it you just like food too much? Is it an emotional attachment? And with people like Sally Baker's help, it'll help you get to that answer maybe quicker. So at the end of the video, there's going to be links to all her work and how you can enroll to the course for yourself. But let's get straight into it. This is Sally Baker. So hi, Sally Baker, award-winning and best-selling author and weight loss therapist, written several books on weight loss, and has, well, interesting information and views, especially in light of last week's video. So thank you for joining. Welcome to Cutting the Caboose.
Thank you very much.
And I mean, we've just been chatting beforehand about how there are lots of ways to tackle obesity and finding the right approach. And so that's something, you know, as I've said myself, about how don't give up, find what works for you.
Sure.
And I know that's something which you've written quite a bit on yourself. So
it's my area of expertise and it's my passion. It's also growing in prominence, being recognised that the emotional drivers for overeating are as important as the physiological reasons for eating. So, you know, people eat for lots of different reasons. When they are eating, when they're not hungry, they tend to be eating for emotional reasons.
I mean, something I've always found, which I find, I mean, I'm not sure if I ate for emotional reasons, or maybe I did. I haven't actually dug into why I overate so much. But I knew I always looked forward to eating, to having a takeaway, watching a film, really enjoying it. But then after that was over, after I'd finished eating and I'd go to bed, I'd have such remorse about that.
Right. Okay. So people eat for celebration, for relaxation, for compensation. Food in its purest sense is just for nourishment. When you're eating as a way to reward yourself, then that's another thing, or to commiserate with yourself. So you can celebrate and commiserate. People eat when they're happy, but they equally eat when they're sad. And those are emotional drivers to eating, and that can lead to overeating and carrying excess weight.
I wonder if is it because perhaps you're looking for that positive stimuli and you just keep doing it, like a drug addiction?
It is a bit, I'm not so sure about the addiction model. I mean, I know there are addiction models out there around sugar, but I'm not completely convinced because I think the drivers are so strong, the emotional drivers are so strong. But what happens when babies are born, food becomes, you know, the first stage of being a child is being orally fixated. So they take pleasure from feeding and being given sustenance. And breast milk for babies, I think it's actually sweeter than formula milk for babies, but breast milk for babies is sweet. So we have a kind of natural affinity. We're naturally drawn to sweet things as a way of rewarding. It's when things become out of kilter, when you're eating like a whole chocolate cake or binging in secret. It's any kind of secret eating, any kind of eating that makes you feel shameful and remorseful afterwards.
But I mean, I've had bariatric surgery, but I can still do that. I can still go and buy a whole cake. It'll make me feel ill, but I'll graze on it all day until there's no cake left. And that's in the past, it would be gone in, you know, no time. Now it'll take me a whole day, but I can still do that. So I'm guessing, you know, the bariatric surgery hasn't cured the problem that I had with weight loss. It's just cured the side effect.
The mechanics, the mechanics are sorted for you now, which is utterly brilliant. But perhaps the drivers for the emotional eating might still be around.
I think they may be. I mean, I'm okay with it, and I feel the surgery has given me control. But it would have been interesting if I could have fixed the driver, then perhaps I wouldn't have needed surgery at all.
Well, I don't actually look for women. My majority of my clients are women. to have control over food. I want them to feel completely at ease and comfortable around food. So the outcome I want is that there's no hardship involved, there's no sense of deprivation, no sense of lacking. It's not about willpower, it's about, I don't even want that in my life anymore, I don't even want it in my body anymore. And then it's easy to say no to it.
Now, this is interesting, because another side that I've found, which may come into the psychology here, is now that my weight, I'm now at my lowest weight since I've ever recorded.
Wow.
I want to nurture that, and I want to train harder and eat healthier.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's been some sort of balance that I've now reached. When now I have self-belief, it's swinging it the other way now. And now I'm finding more and more I'm rejecting the overeating. Even though I still kind of want to, it's given me that, oh yeah, but if I do that, it'll be nice, but it'll take me further away from getting that goal that I'm now so close to touching.
Yeah, because that goal's not just about weight loss, it's about having clear skin, bright eyes, luxurious hair, feeling really good in yourself. And when you OD and have one of those binges on, not you per se, but anyone has one of those kind of cake binges, it makes you feel like crap.
Afterwards, I mean, it's good at the time. Not long after, though, you feel bad.
For sure. I have therapeutic approaches that will cut out the middlewoman. So you won't even need to go through the process of eating the cake to feel like crap. We just, bypass all of that and you won't need it. You don't want it in your life.
Interesting. So I think
if you're doing it as a reward, the bar is set quite low. If cake is a reward, I get my women to raise their bar so that cake doesn't even touch the sides anymore. They demand more of their life, from their life. So cake as a reward anymore, they don't go there.
So what do you think is the mechanics or the trigger behind, if I've got a packet of biscuits in the house, I've soon got an empty packet of biscuits.
Right.
So where does that come from? Why can't I just go and have 2 biscuits and be satisfied?
I've had the same situation with women who can't have bread in the house. They can't have a loaf of bread because they know they will just turn it all into toast and eat the whole loaf. If it's around zoned out eating, where you eat and you don't even realise that you're eating it, and go back to the fridge and think, or the cupboard, where did that packet of biscuits go, or where did that whole cream cake go? That's something else that has to be dealt with. But if you are willfully aware that you're working your way through a packet of biscuits, that's self-sabotaging behaviour. I see it quite often when women decide to come to me and they say, if they come on a Monday to me, they say, you'll never guess, over the whole weekend, knowing I was coming to you, I've done nothing but binge and binge and binge. And it's almost like the Last Supper, they have to kind of get it down their neck before they come. But it's a self-sabotaging behaviour. And it's often an old behaviour. It's a way of kind of tripping yourself up.
So how is that tackled? What's the approach? I mean, for me, it was a case of, because I kind of wanted to be able to eat. I also wanted to feel like I had control of it and it wouldn't, have such a detriment. So for me, the surgery was fantastic. But, what approaches would you take to tackling the same thing?
Emotional eaters give a lot of power over to food. Their food that for them is their comfort, their friend, their ally when everything else in the world is against them. We take that power back from food therapeutically, so make the person powerful. The food's just food. It's just biscuits. It's just cake. It's not your best friend. It's just food. But you need to make sure that you can become your own best friend. Really kind of take that self-esteem. Often emotional eaters, especially emotional eaters who do things in secret, have a very low self-esteem. And it's really battered by this kind of ongoing self-sabotaging behaviour. If you start to build up someone's self-esteem so that they expect more from themselves, then again, that's the way that cake or biscuits doesn't touch the sides, doesn't count anymore. They deserve more in their life than biscuits and cake.
Interesting.
I had a client and I did there's a 20-minute craving that I can do that only takes 20 minutes to do, and whatever their key craving food is, I get them to bring it into the therapy room with them and we work on it. So one woman came in with a carrier bag full of stuff. There was tubs of ice cream in there were those chocolate gâteaux, there was everything in there, all of that stuff. So I said, okay, we just work on the one with the highest emotional load attached to it. So she got all the foods out, she looked at them, picked them up and studied them and said, okay, I want the ice cream more than anything in this bag. So we did this 20-minute craving protocol on the ice cream. And after 20 minutes, you get to taste it. First, you get to look at it. Then you get to lift the lid off and smell it. All the time as you're working, the desire for it goes up. Then we work on it to bring the desire down. There's therapeutic tools to do that. And then the last part of this process is you get to try it. You get to have a mouthful of the ice cream. And when she's had the teaspoon in her mouth, she felt that fat. The fact that she'd always felt so appealing in her mouth before, that mouth feel that people talk about with craving food, and found it completely abhorrent and didn't want it.
It's funny with Diet Coke, I gave myself 2 weeks to switch from sugared Coke to Diet Coke.
Okay.
And it didn't take that long. And now I can't bear full sugar drinks.
Right.
I mean, I feel like my teeth is literally falling out.
Well, when you're ready to give up the Diet Coke, let me know.
Oh, that's not going to happen anytime soon. Actually, I don't drink.
It really could.
I don't drink much Diet Coke, but I drink a lot of caffeine, or I'm just asleep.
Oh, right.
I'll just be in a coma for the next 5 years if I don't have caffeine.
But you're busy.
Yeah.
And also, you've got to want to. You've got to be ready. So, when I say about to the universe, bring me clients, I want to work with people who are ready. And the clients that come to me that take a therapeutic approach to weight loss is because they have tried every diet from Atkins to the Zone and the Mediterranean in the middle. They are expert dieters.
Yeah. And this is so true. I mean, I did every diet because you go into this optimism phase where you think, oh, this is the one, this will fix it for me. I'm no longer responsible for this now because I got a new diet that'll take care of it all for me.
Yeah. Well, that optimism phase gets shorter and shorter the more times, the more different diets you try. So ultimately, there'll be an aha moment for lots of people who will go, actually, it's not about food. And those are the people that I want to see and work with, because those are the people where I can have the positive results. Because when they are ready to understand it's not about food, but it's about the emotional drivers for them, overeating, swallowing down their emotions with food, comforting themselves with food, then those are the people who are ready to change.
So what's the approach then? So how do people, somebody watching now has decided, okay, enough. And we've all said enough like 1,000 times, but you haven't really committed to it. And when somebody is really committed, what's the next step? For me, it was I looked around for different surgeons, and I think that's a valid step for anyone. But
absolutely,
what else could you try?
Well, you could do the therapeutic approach. For a lot of clients who are considering bariatric surgery, I would make sure that the therapeutic approach had been really fully explored first. Because what you want to do, and what doesn't happen with ordinary dieters, is aligning the power of your mental abilities with your conscious desire. So when you approach a new diet or a new fad or whatever it is, like only eating yellow food or only eating after 8 o'clock at night, in a 2-hour window, whatever the deal is, whatever the shtick you're going to try, there's a part of people who are yo-yo dieters that don't believe it's going to succeed. So what the therapeutic approach does is completely align your mental strength with your conscious desire. So you're no longer self-sabotaging. You can look at a packet of biscuits and think, I'm not interested. And you are totally aligned with your goal. Because we know, it's certainly not you, but we know that there are bariatric patients out there who have self-sabotaged their own weight loss.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because, I've had very good results, but then I feel I went to a clinic that set the right expectations. And I was in a place where I thought, I'm going to throw everything at this now and work with it. But I know people who perhaps would graze all day or have the wrong approach to to the surgery. So, can they be salvaged?
They can be salvaged, and those are often my clients, post-bariatric patients who have regained weight. If we talk about the shame around weight gain and carrying excess weight, the shame for those who feel like they've let down their whole team of surgeons and all the rest of it is immense. They feel incredibly bad about themselves. But often...
That's interesting, because I remember before I had surgery, my surgeon, I said, haven't I got it? Because, everybody gets really nervous about the pre-surgery diet that you have to do, the liquid diet.
Hardcore. It's really hardcore.
Yeah. And so I spoke to my surgeon about this, and I said, look, I'm really anxious about the pre-surgery diet. And he goes, well, don't do it then. What? I said, well,
wow.
I said, I can give you a diet and a liquid plan and say you have to stick to this for health and safety reasons and for all the rest of it. We both know you won't do it.
Yeah.
I was like, now this is a surgeon who understands.
Yeah. But Danielle, you went privately because the
privately.
NHS, they see that as a gateway approach. And without that initial weight loss on that very, very stringent diet, you won't go to they won't let you go to the next stage.
And I think that's interesting though, because I feel as if you're setting up people to feel that they don't even deserve surgery.
Sure.
From my point of view, when surgeons said, we won't do surgery unless you lose 4 stone first, I'm like, well, if I can lose 4 stone, I don't even need the surgery.
Yeah.
So when I found a surgeon, and for me, psychologically, when my surgeon said, I can do that, but you won't stick to it. And the whole point of coming to me is to fix this so that you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
I immediately felt better, and it was, well, just take my money, because you actually understand.
Sure.
What people are going for. And actually, I then tried really hard to stick to a pre-surgical diet, because I felt I was with somebody that was just that was understood what I was.
Well, that's the irony of it. But a lot of people facing the NHS are only now going to be allowed bariatric surgery if they have other morbidities. Yeah, so very, very serious medical conditions. But I often see clients who've gone abroad. So in the UK, you'll get some CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, which is very much, I feel, front brain. And it works great with addictions when the outcome you want is that you no longer take Class A drugs, or you no longer drink alcohol, or you no longer gamble on fruit machines, or whatever the deal is. When you want to have complete abstinence, CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, works. I don't think it's intuitive enough and sophisticated enough to deal with food, because all of us have to have a daily relationship with food. So I don't think CBT works in a refined enough way to manage to do that. And if people go abroad now for their bariatric surgery, which is happening more and more because the restrictions on the NHS are now so extreme, they don't get any psychological input. They go across to Poland or Czechoslovakia or somewhere, wherever, and get the surgery, and they're in and out, and they're back home.
And I think you do need that. Well, it's interesting. What's happening with me more and more now is through my YouTube channel, and this is where you can really step in here. People are now approaching me, and I'm kind of, I am a qualified counsellor, but not in obesity. It's more bereavement and another story. So I'm actually setting the expectations with people on behalf of the clinics that I've dealt with, because I know I did so much research and diligence on these various places.
Right.
And I know, so, expect this, because I was there. I didn't expect that. It would have been nice if I was told this. Think that the first 24 hours after surgery, you are murderous. If somebody said to me, do you want to euthanize? I'd be like, yeah, I'm done. I felt so miserable and thirsty and hungry. And had I gone into surgery with that expectation, I'd have been, okay, I know this will pass.
Right.
But at the time, I didn't know this is awful,
Yes.
So you need that, it'll be fine, don't worry. This will happen though. And once you know that, you're fine.
Sure, because you can go through the process and know you're going to come out the other side. But there's a lot of unknowns, and people do respond differently. But I think if you're ready, and that is part of the preparation for being ready, isn't it? The mental preparation and also kind of knowledge, so that you go in with an informed view. It's important to be informed.
So let's talk about your books.
Yeah.
What do people do if people have decided, look, I'm a firm believer that bariatric surgery, one other thing, I'm doing a video about this, okay? I'm annoyed that I spent so long putting off bariatric surgery because experts said I should do it the natural way.
Sure.
And I ended up wasting 30 years trying to find an approach when, for me, I honestly believe bariatrics was the best way. I'm stubborn,
Yeah.
And I'm annoyed at that. However, I also firmly believe that it's a final solution, It's a pretty much, you do everything else first.
Yeah.
So what do you say? What are your books? What can you do before you take that step?
Okay, the first book I wrote on emotional eating, it's co-written by my colleague Liz Hogan, who's now based in Melbourne in Australia, is called 7 Simple Steps to Stop Emotional Eating. Because then I used to see clients for 7 sessions, but now I tend to see clients for 6 sessions of 90 minutes. And one of the first casualties of emotional eating is a person's intuition dies, gets completely kind of suppressed. So I work on improving a person's connection to their own intuition. People know what's good for them and what's bad for them. It's just that when they're swallowing it down with crazy foods and sugar cravings and all the rest of it, and binge eating. All of that stuff is lost. So I work on relinking to intuition and raising self-esteem. And we do that with 3 key techniques. They're called EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. It's a worldwide therapy. It's been around about 28 years. It's massive in the States. The other one is called PS Tech. It's a brand new therapy. It's 8 years old and it's devised in the UK, which really is amazing for breaking the connection between events, memories, and emotions. So you always have the memory, but you no longer have the emotion. That works fantastic with trauma. I see a lot of people who've gained weight because of trauma. And then the other is NLP techniques and hypnotherapy, which just supports all the positive changes we do with the other techniques.
And this is covered in the 7?
This is covered in the book, 7 Simple Steps to Stop Emotional Eating, and it's covered in how I work with clients face to face. In fact, how we work, and how Liz and I have worked with clients for 20 odd years, is how we came to write the book. We thought, we can't see everybody, not everyone wants to see us, so we'll distill everything we've done face to face or on Skype with clients into a book. And it's also now a self-help course online called
and there's a link to that course in the description of this very video.
Well done, yeah. And that's brilliant because it allows more resources than just the book version, because we can put video in there and all the rest of it.
It sounds good. I mean, from my point of view, while I'm an advocate for surgery, I also like to think that if it's expensive and it's life changing, as well as the results are life changing, you have to change your life as well. So I like to think that before people take that step, they exhaust every other opportunity, but also give those things a fair crack. A lot of people lose weight through Slimming World or through just abstinence or whatever. There are other ways to lose weight. I think it's very muddied because of all the quackery and the fake diet teas and fat burning creams and other nonsense.
For sure.
And it just confuses everybody.
And even slimming clubs as a business model, they kind of want repeat
Aren't
visits.
they though? And that's true, because they do. Everybody there, and I think part of it, and I hate saying this because I had good results from a slimming club, but I gained all the weight again. And part of those things with the slimming clubs, you get support because everybody else has gained the weight again too.
For sure, and that's not a club anyone
company,
wants to be a member of. Yeah, those clubs become a bit of a trap. Support clubs for whatever your deal is, whatever your situation is, they can become too cozy to ever break out of. And if you succeed, you can't be a member anymore, and that's a lonely place to be.
They have one or two token free members who've lost everything, and then there's not many. But then I guess people don't want to be. I don't know. But it's interesting. There's a lot of money to be made from people's misery,
from people's failure. Yeah. And this is not about failure. This is about people who are ready now to absolutely finish with yo-yo dieting, because we know how yo-yo dieting messes with your metabolism and how it really undermines people's future ability to lose weight as well, because you're just screwing your body around so much. So I never want people to go hungry. I never want people to go without, but I do want them to up their game, their nutrition game, and eat really well. I'm seeing now more and more vegans and vegetarians who are undernourished. I look at their food diaries and think, actually, how did you make your way to my office today? Because there's barely any nourishment in what you're eating. And I see new moms who are desperate to lose their baby weight, and they bring their food diaries in. And I look at what they've been eating. I said, well, apart from eating your toddler's leftovers for the last week and a half, what have you eaten that was for you? Where's the protein? Where's your complex carbs? Where's the good stuff? It's not there. And again, that's about getting people to up their game, making them feel more valuable. If people believe that they are no more relevant and important than the next door neighbour's cat, they're not going to be taking care of themselves. And that's what happens all the time.
Well, lots to think about. I want everyone to be able to lose weight because it's been such an amazing thing for me. And the more options, the more ways that work we can give to people, the better, I think. So you've got 2 books. You've got an online course.
2 books.
There they are.
7 Simple Steps to Stop Emotional Eating.
And those are available on Amazon and everywhere else?
Yeah, they're on Amazon. And the other book's called How to Feel Differently About Food. Because once you've stopped binging and purging and kind of boundary eating, everyone's confused about what to eat. So we take a really simple approach for time-pressured people about what they need to eat.
And people can approach you directly for your course as well?
Absolutely. I work the world over on the net. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll put links to all of that below.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about, weight loss. Let's hope we can reach some people. That'd be awesome.
Brilliant. Cheers. Thank you very much, Danielle.
Take care.
Bye. Bye-bye.
So there you go. Wasn't that fascinating? Here's the thing, okay? I'm very empirical. I like empirical facts. I like actual data that I can measure. And while I think I'm healthily skeptical of things like hypnosis and alternative therapies, there's no doubt that for some people these things do work, whether it's placebo or science, I just don't know. But if it works for you, it works for you, and that's terrific. So there you go. I think she makes a lot of sense. I certainly find that in my case, I was able to self-analyze, and I think I worked out for myself what my triggers were. The sitting down in the evening with a huge takeaway and a film, I enjoyed that far too much. It was like the end of the day, and I could shut the world out at that point. And I think for me, that was my sort of trigger, and I found my own ways to deal with that. And obviously the bariatric surgery has been a huge help. But I think finding out what makes yourself tick, I think it can only be beneficial. Links to all of Sally's work, to her therapy course, to her books, are in the description below, right here. And also, anybody, as I've said before, you're welcome to reach out to me either through social media. You can find links to my Facebook group or anything else where I'm happy to chat to you, and perhaps between the two of us, we can figure out the approach for you. What, Puss? Hello, Tilly. Tilly the cat. That was distracting. Lost my way. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Please comment, like, share, subscribe, dislike. I love getting your feedback and your comments. Popping up on the left, I think, will be my previous video and another video you may find interesting. And I will see you in the very next show. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Bye-bye.